I'm doing a project here at IUPUI. My project is on the impact of social media on the misinformation of the mass media.
Okay. When you say misinformation, what exactly do you mean by that?
I come from Gaza, and the situation there needs a lot of clarification about the situation, which is not having the full perspective from the mass media here.
Okay. Why do you feel that it needs clarification?
Because there's a lot of things that is not known about our life and situation there in Gaza, and the mass media shows that it's all about the security of Israel and so on. So we need to clarify a few things about that.
Okay. And how are you doing this?
For now, I'm using the Facebook website and also the YouTube videos. For the Facebook, I'm having an open questions on the Facebook about everything they want to know about Gaza and the situation there. And then I'm going to respond and answer this question through a video on YouTube videos, and which is like I'm going to publish them on YouTube and post them also on the Facebook again.
Okay, okay. And well, are we ready to? Well, how many questions did you get?
So far, we have 11 questions, so I'm going to clarify some few things from that.
Okay.
Does that look good, really?
You look fine. You look fine. So, what's your name?
Walab Hassan.
Okay. And what are we trying to do today?
Just introducing myself so you get free to ask questions.
Okay. And what? We're just gonna do this on Facebook, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Any particular reason why you chose Facebook to ask the questions?
Because I'm doing now a project in IUPUI for a research summer program here, and my topic is in social media, so I'm using the Facebook as one of the tools now.
Okay. Okay. And where are you coming from?
Gaza.
Okay. And what are you trying to get out of this? Like, what are you trying to do with this whole social media thing?
I want to see how the social media is gonna help to interact and to reach out between the USA, like because I'm here and Gaza.
Okay.
There to help to understand and to reduce the gap between the two places.
Okay. Because I mean, reduce the gap. Why do you think there's a gap?
Yeah, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about the situation in Gaza from people here, because I don't know, media, or they don't know anything about that, or we'll try to see what's wrong with this here.
Okay, okay. So we already put on some questions, right?
Yes.
But I mean, is there any way you want to direct the questioning, like?
No, not really. You
No?
can feel free to ask whatever, any kind of question about culture there, the place, how we live, or
Okay.
anything you want to know.
Okay. What about political information?
Well, you can ask if I have the answer for the question, I'm gonna answer. If I don't,
Okay. Okay. And you probably don't have much access, as neither do we.
Not really. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So keep it cultural, right?
Yeah.
Or experiential, right? You know what you're going through. And maybe give us like a tidbit of life over there, just to kind of provoke some questioning.
Like now? Or
Well,
like, when you want to know like what is the situation we got there?
or yours. You know, I mean, what, you're 22?
22 years.
Okay, and you've lived in Gaza your whole life?
Yes, this
Okay.
is the first time ever to travel outside Gaza.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And you like America?
So far, so good. Yeah, it's nice.
Okay, and what countries did you go through to get here?
I went through. First of all, I went to Jerusalem, which is one of the hell journey to get there, and even it's inside Palestine, but it was a whole trip. And then from there we went to Egypt, and then Frankfurt for like just transit, and then Washington, Dallas airport, Chicago, and now we're here in Indianapolis.
Okay, so maybe like a little questioning about the journey over might be kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Border guards, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And there was somewhat of more of a difficulty after what, 2005?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I don't know. Is that really about it, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So please ask some questions, yeah?
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I came to Indianapolis here because we had a class last semester at in Gaza University with IPY University here. Conflict resolution class was held by Dr. Ian McIntosh, the principal of International Office Affairs, and another professors from Gaza and from IPY. Okay. I would choose to be a part of that class because I felt so important to have something new, a new experience in academic field, and also because it's a way to interact with the outside world and to have new classmates, to speak with native speakers in English. And so after that class, we had the opportunity to apply for the program here as a result of that class, and that's why we came here.
Okay, so you were chosen then? Is that how it works?
Well, they just asked us if we want to apply for the program here.
Okay.
And we written a statement, and then we decided that.
Okay. Okay. What's your take on American culture?
Okay, this is a very big question actually, because the culture is also a very big thing. And if you want to talk about the culture, you need to get the whole picture from the little pieces of it. As for the American culture, when I came here, I noticed that USA is so diverse, and there's a lot of groups and multi culture and society inside of this big society. So to take a little pieces of that, we can talk about the values, art, moral, and habit and customs. Uh, as beginning, values.
How do American
Well,
values differ from Palestinian values?
Well, every culture has its own values, and it differs from culture to culture. So, for example, here the relationship and lifestyle is much different from our life and relationship style in Gaza. Like, for instance, here it's kind of open relationships, and you have like dating and everything. Like here, it's kind of open. Whereas for us in Gaza, it's not like that open, and we have kind of boundaries between the two sexes when it comes to relationship, like in work and school and everything. But still, we don't have the kind of dating and open relationship as it's in here.
Okay. Why would you consider that a value?
Because it's something for us, it's kind of what's right and what's wrong. So it's here right, but like for us, it's kind of like wrong to do.
Okay.
That's like how it differs.
Okay. Why would you consider that wrong?
Well, because from where I come, as a Muslim country or a Muslim culture, dating is not something that allowed in our religion. That's why. And
Okay.
there's also customs.
Okay.
Customs, one very simple thing, the salaries. Well, you have like your payment salary and every month. Here and everywhere, it's kind of a grand thing that you have at the end of the month. For us in Gaza, it's not something that's taken for granted. For example, sometimes you have your salary like paid at the end of the month fully. Sometimes it's half, sometimes it's part, and sometimes there's no salary, and you can wait for the next month. That's also kind of result of the situation that we're living in Gaza.
Okay, so you can work the normal amount of hours,
Yeah.
all that stuff, but you
Yes.
never know what you're going to get paid at the end of the
No.
month? Okay. And you get paid monthly?
Yes, like basically this happens with the governmental jobs. The private sector like kind of have kind of more stable salaries, but still from time to time, every kind of works and jobs there kind of be affected from that, because the banks themselves have sometimes no money to or cash to give for the salaries.
Okay, okay, but private sector, you're saying like, give me an example of a private sector job.
Like private like clinics or companies. Kind of this is like kind of private sector. Like the owners of them are businessmen or few people, and not for the government or kind of big organization or international organization.
Okay. Now, I know that we discussed the tunnels and stuff that go into Gaza.
Yes.
I mean, that would obviously be considered part of the public sector, or I'm sorry, the private sector, no?
Okay.
Okay. Well, would it be or no?
Well, I don't know. For it, it's gonna be considered private or her governmental or whatever. But but what I know about the tunnels, it's a way of getting goods and products and everything to Gaza, and it's yes provided mainly from businessmen and people that they want to make their own business to make money and to also bring products into the strip.
Okay.
So it's not monthly paid. It depends, I think, on the deals that happened.
So that's basically your entrepreneurial side, I guess, would be trade the trade of goods in and without of these tunnels. No.
Yes, which is like for people it's less, for others it's not. Where a lot of people have died digging the tunnels, and they know that their life is in danger and it's on the line if they're going to that business, but still, because they want to provide money for their families and they have no other choice or no other work, so they just go on and go for that job.
Okay. Are we talking like 3 tunnels? How many tunnels are there?
Well, at least that I knew about, it's more than 3,000 tunnels.
3,000 tunnels.
Yeah, which is mainly on the borders, the Egyptian borders between Gaza and between Gaza and Egypt, which is called Rafah area. Beside that, I actually don't know much
Okay.
about that.
Yeah, I can't imagine you would, right? Okay. So we have values, we have customs. What's our next one?
Art.
Okay.
Well, for art, here I found like the art mainly uses the body or the sexual part, or like depends more about the image of the body and the sexuality. But for us in Gaza, we don't depend on that at all. We just go for the beauty, but without going for the body image or depending on the sexuality.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So
This is one. And also something else that I found here with people that find art, the tattoos. Like here, it's kind of, for some people, it's kind of art for themselves or a way for expressing themselves, and it could be considered for them an art. But for us, it's one of the things that is not allowed to do, the permanent tattoos, for the fact that it's harmful for your body.
okay. Now I know you have what is it called, the henna?
Yeah, well, this is kind of natural.
Well, what is it, first of all?
It's not a tattoo actually. It's kind of art, drawing in hand or body, and mainly for the men, not for the women, not the men.
Okay.
And they use natural herbs and mix it with any kind of fruit or anything, like make color, and they print on the body.
Okay.
And
So
it's
I mean,
not
there is a
very-
form of body art in a way,
Yes, there
right?
is, but it's not harmful. It's natural, and there's nothing that can harm the body, not chemicals or anything.
Okay. Okay. So and it's not permanent, obviously.
No.
Isn't it just for what during marriage?
Oh, no, you can do whatever you want, but
Anytime?
but they like mainly use it in the marriage and the festivals because like more cheerful.
Okay. Okay. I gotcha. Now, what about music?
Music. Well, there's a lot of music there, and there's classic music, there's folklore music that we have, and even now with the pop culture, it's so wide between the young generation like mine, and we have like a lot of the generation now there listen for the rap, hip hop, and know everything about the Western music.
Okay. You know, I was with you a couple of times. What were we listening to?
Oh wow, I don't remember actually.
Oh, you do. It was on your phone.
Yeah, I'm listening to Korean pop,
Okay.
which is not American and not Arabic, but it's another culture.
Well, there was one though that I can't remember the artist.
Which one?
It was a male rapper.
You mean Asher?
Yes. So
Yes.
so you do listen to Usher.
Yeah,
I don't-
sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious because
Yeah.
it's not really my thing. But okay. Now what else? So we had. You know what you didn't do though? When we were talking about, I think it was customs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. There was. We didn't do a contrast. Like you told us about American customs.
Which you mean? I talked about the salary.
Yeah.
That's it. So like you have salaries here, like basically paid every month.
Okay.
But we don't have that.
Okay. And values. We did the values.
Yes.
Okay.
For morals, well, I think that the morals is just thing revealed in every culture, and it doesn't differ from culture to culture. It's basically the same thing for everybody and every culture, like the honesty, courage, and this kind of morals is for everybody. But the thing that's different from one to another is how the single person apply that and how he sees that, or he act with it. So this is how I see the world. It's not about cultures, it's about the persons.
Okay. Okay. Do you feel the stereotypes are accurate, right? So I would imagine that with that, we would have to identify what stereotypes they're discussing. No?
Yes.
So when the question is asked, do you feel the stereotypes are accurate? What kind of stereotypes do you feel they're applying to you?
Okay, first of all, for stereotypes, here in America itself, I found that inside the American culture or American society itself, there's many and many stereotypes for every kind of culture or society that came to the United States. And one of them, of course, the Middle Eastern. And for the Middle Eastern, from a long time ago till now, whenever I go to the movies or through the media or like here or there, like every time you see that they show the Middle Eastern people as a very primitive people in the desert with camels and caravans, and either they are so crazy and like with the tribal things and try to kill everybody, and now they have the terrorists equal to the Arab. And also another thing that I also noticed with the stereotypes for Arab, that all the time they making the men like the boss and the sultans, like they still dream about these days, and there's a lot of women and like the servant or harem that they call, which is for me sorry for that, but wake up, we're like in the 20th century or 21st century, so it's not anymore. It used to be in the past, and even some area, not every area, it depends on the customs of every area, and it depends on their traditions and the way they live, and not on the religion, that if they like think so. So now there's still some areas like have some of these traditions, but not in the way that I imagine it, because we like now have a civilization, and we like for example in Dubai and United Emirates, there's skyscrapers, and they have a lot of development and high tech as in USA. So it's not the same as they have the stereotypes about us.
Okay. Well, what about American stereotypes? What stereotypes did you have of us before you came over?
Well, it's interesting. It's so interesting because before I come here, which is for me, it's the first time ever to come to US. So from I've been young till now, everything I know about the America, or I know about the stereotypes of America, is from its own media, from the US media, the movies and the magazines and the books and everything. So for me, every time I have this this stereotype that the American culture is all about the drugs, gangs, cars, sex, and it's the land of the opportunities and the dreams. So, well, there's this part of the life here. I say like it's not here because every little part of the life is there, but still it's not the whole big picture. There's a lot of good things, and there's the other side of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say the other side of it, what do you mean?
Like, yes, there is the gang, there is drugs, and there is cars, and there is sex, but still it's not the whole life for the people in America. There's good people, there's work, there's education, there's life outside.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you feel that you don't feel they're accurate then?
No, not for us and not for US.
Okay. Okay. Hence the misinformation stuff, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Is veiling a choice or a requirement?
Well, in Islam, the requirement is the hijab, which is covering the whole body, except the face, which is the veiling, or we call it in Arabic the niqab. So the requirement for women is the hijab, but the veiling is more of a choice for women. They choose to do that or just go for the hijab.
So it's a choice thing.
Yes.
Okay. And well, why have you made the choice not to?
Well, because I think I'm comfortable with that, and I've done the requirement with the hijab, and I'm kind of moderate Muslim. I'm not just so going for more I don't know, they call it like so reservative or something, but it's just like I'm
Conservative.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So the more conservative individuals are the ones that go traditional with the
Yes.
dress and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's like basically I'm going with the hijab.
Okay, which
Yeah.
is perfectly fine.
Yes, it's just like about having something loose, tall, and cover your body.
Okay, okay. That's easy enough, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and even you can find in Gaza Muslim ladies and women who even don't wear the hijab. They just choose not to wear that because basically, even if it's a requirement, it's all about being convinced and you believe in that is your choice that you want to do for your life.
okay. Well, and there are Christians in Gaza too.
Yeah,
no?
there's a lot of Christians in Gaza.
Okay. And what do the Christians generally wear?
They go for the casual wear as everybody else here in the United States, but I think they kind of have our traditions there because like sometimes in Ramadan they go like and cover their hair, like sometimes have kind of scarf as like kind of respect, and the old ladies when they go to the market or something like that they sometimes also wear the scarf, not for being like a Muslim, but they like kind of they get used to that around,
Okay.
which is like their choice, and the young generation just go as everybody else.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that either. That even like you don't have to wear the hijab necessarily.
Well, it's a requirement, but it's
Yeah.
still you need to be convinced. It's not about something you're forced to do it.
Okay.
It's something you need to be believing in it and convinced to do it.
Okay. Okay. How do you view our culture in this regard?
Well, viewing the American culture or the Western culture from that regard, I would say there's two categories of people seeing this culture from this side. The first one are the first people who are so like have a kind of flexibility and open-minded and understanding. So they know that other culture have their own customs and traditions and their way of life. So they respect and they understand. At the same time, everybody has their own belief. This is the first one. The second category that I know about is the people who are so close-minded and who tend to like attack and like criticize the other people because they're just different, and they like you're gonna see them saying it's haram, it's wrong. So this is kind of the two response that you're gonna have about the culture here. One, it's okay, understanding, and the other is no.
Okay. So just to get it right, halal means good
Yeah.
and right,
Yeah.
and then haram.
Yeah, which is not right and it's wrong.
Okay, so it's just like our right and wrong. It's okay.
Yeah.
In more of a religious sense or in a cultural
Yeah,
sense?
it's more of a religious sense.
Okay,
If you
okay.
like, if you're an American child and you grew up in an Islamic country, you would totally understand the way the dressing and costume and everything, and vice versa. If an Arab child grew up in American or Western country, he would also totally understand why they dress like that and their way of customs and everything go on. So
Okay.
it's about understanding at all, like the end.
Okay. Okay. Given the area you come from, okay, what or who determined what you were studying?
Okay. Education in the Palestinian territories, Gaza and West Bank, is is ruled by the Ministry of Education and Higher Education Ministry there. Uh, the education system goes from the kindergarten, which is the preparation stage for the first grade in elementary school, and then from first to 10th grade, it's the basic stage, which is compulsory and free for everybody and every student there. And after that comes the 11th and the 12th grade. For the whole grades along, they have like one semester, the first, and then we have everybody have a holiday break, and then we have a second semester, and there's the summer break. Anyway, when you go for the secondary school, you kind of choose if you want to go for vocational school, or you want to go for humanity studies, or you want to go for science studies, and it depends on your skills and your grade and what you want to do in the university. And then after you finish the 11th grade, you go for the 12th grade, which is kind of the most important year for us
No, wait, explain that again. So secondary school is from what age to what age?
Secondary school is from 11th to 12th grade, 2 grades, 11th and 12th.
Okay, so when you get a choice to choose between science, humanities, or...
In the 11th grade.
Okay, so
After
that
you
happens...
finish the basic stage.
Okay.
Then
okay.
you like choose, because in the 10th grade you have all the science and all the humanity subject. So you like kind of know where you want to be in the second year, and will fit mostly with your skills and your like mentality. So
Okay.
you go for that.
So you kind of choose then, too, in a way.
Yeah, yes.
right?
In the secondary school, you choose, and mainly it depends on your skills. If you're a math person, you're going to go for science. If you're language or English person, you're gonna go for the humanity studies, and that's like go on.
Okay.
And there's also students who go for vocational like agriculture, or goes for business and administration, and some of them like go for hotel study, like they study for being in hotels and so on. So it's like kind of for this vocational also studies.
Okay.
Yeah. And 12th grade, as I told you, it's the main or the most important year that determined you're going for the university next year, and we call it tawjihi. At this grade, you have the certificate at the end, which tell you upon in your grade what university you can go and what department you can apply for, depending on your grades. This is the first thing that determine what you're going to study. The second thing is for the money. If your family or you have the financial to support yourself or go and you can afford the whole expenses for studying, you can go for the university. Or else it's gonna be like kind of impossible for you to go alone with the study. So either you go to have work and then you can back to school again, or you're gonna wait
Okay.
until it's have money again. This is the second thing. The third thing, sometimes, and not always, but sometimes the families kind of force their kids on what major they go for, because they think it's the best for them, or it's basically because they had that dream to go to this major but they didn't achieve it before at their age, so they like kind of want their children to go for it. This is like kind of interesting, but not for everybody. And the third thing, the next thing comes your choice. So if you have good grades at the 12th grade, money, understanding family, and a good program, which is not always there because we have kind of limited programs in the university there in Gaza. Because of our situation, we don't have a very wide diversity of programs in the university. So if you have this all, you can have like yourself a good suitable program from the limited ones. You can go for it and study.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. And that's a lot like us too, actually. You know, the families, well, I don't know if it happens so much anymore, but they either push you to get into business or be a doctor or be a lawyer, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I get the whole family thing. Okay. Okay. What's your take on women's rights?
Okay, women's rights. In Gaza, the first and the main thing that we need before women's rights is the human rights, because we don't have even human rights in Gaza as the people there from the Israeli side. As for women rights from the people inside Gaza themselves, there's some people who give the women their rights, like education, work, marriage, and inheritance, and so like that in life, to be free and choose her own way of life. There's other people, other families so restricted, and they kind of control and have the power on top of their girls or the women there in the family, as they choose how they go on with their lives in the education and the work, and even if she's allowed to go to work or not, and also with the marriage thing. So this is kind of people that who give the rights and people who don't, and this is just kind of depending on how they educated and understanding and open-minded people, and this is the way it goes in Gaza. And
So there still is a potential for women to be oppressed within the family in Gaza.
yes, and I believe this is mainly because of poverty and the education level there between the families.
Okay.
And again, it's one of the main issues there that the whole people there, men, children, and women needs their human rights and basic rights from as being human being living inside the strip from the Israeli side.
So when you say women can be oppressed in the home, what kind of oppression? What things are they restricted from?
Like for example, they can't go and continue their education if they want to after high school. They just like give they just like get them to marry somebody. They don't want to marry him, or they don't choose that kind of marriage. Or if she continues the education and go for university, just this is it and no more. You can't like go for work or going out. If it's not from the family, it's gonna be sometimes from the husband. He's going to be the man and not getting her like to go out for work or the interact with the outside world. Kind of he feels in protection, but it's not. It's just kind of oppression. And I say this is the way that's going on with some families, not every family. Like for myself, I believe that I come from a very understanding family, which gave me the choice and the freedom and the will to choose what I want to study and for how long I want to go with master degree or PhD or whatever, and I choose my own life and career.
Okay. How many people do you know that are in that kind of position, would you say? I mean, on average, half of the women?
I can't like give a percentage, but I think it's more in the suburbs and the areas that there is no high education level of education between these families, and for the people who are so poor, so they even can't afford to give any kind of education for their children, or they can't have this kind of open mentality or open-minded mentality. All they like care of is just like getting money for their life, basic things, and they even get their children to get to work just to live.
Do you know of any women in this position?
I kind of knew some women like in this position, yeah, that they kind of sacrificed their life for the family, that they and they just obey their families, and they didn't have their own free will to say no.
And they're your age?
In my age and younger my age, like some girls, they get them married in the 11th grade or 7th grade, something like that. And again, I'm saying it's not all the same, but it's, yes, it happens.
Okay, okay. And how would you compare that? Well, I think it's kind of obvious, but how would you compare that to women in the U.S.?
Well, I believe even here in the U.S., there is also women have their rights and they have the freedom to do whatever they want, and at the same time there's a lot of domestic violence, and there's a lot of abuse, and there's a lot of people are not giving the women their rights, and that's why they keep calling for their rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you met anybody in your environment here that it's been abused by any means?
Yes, we've been to one of the conferences like outside about one of the ladies talking about her experience with addiction and she go on with her past, which has lead us to find out that her addiction abuse started from the point that her dad was so over controlled them, she and her brother and sister and the family. So he's like kind of used them and not use them. He kind of treat them as objects, as things that he own, not as a human being and with feelings. And he's always seeing them inferior and they're not good enough for him. So she's kind of wanted to have the okay from him and to be good enough for him, but she didn't get that level. She was kind of go for the drugs to get to forget the reality and to build her own like way out and escape from the real life.
Okay, so I know that you don't drink, no?
No.
Do you see any issues of drug abuse or alcoholism in Gaza?
For drinking, we didn't see that because it's not allowed. But for the young generation, now there's some kind of, yes, issues with drugs, especially the medicine like the painkillers and something like that. There's some kids use this kind of also an escape from the depression, the frustration, and the 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 situation that we're living in Gaza, like for the siege and the bombardment that is going on, so they kind of go for the drugs, which is kind of a problem, but yeah.
But it's there. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't something that's just restricted to the United States, too, which I find to be interesting because, I mean, generally, uh, I think that Americans think of Muslims as being very, very strict and stringent in their behavior, especially when it comes to drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff.
Yes, for us as Muslim, we don't drink and we don't eat pork, but and also we don't have drugs or we don't have like addiction. But still, I'm saying there is young people who really get in trouble with this kind of addiction with painkillers or kind of drugs and this stuff as a way from escaping as like getting here into the US, but different realities.
Okay. No, and considering the comparison that you just made, I mean, would you prefer the situation that women are going through in the United States as opposed to Gaza, or do you really see it as being something that's comparable and the same? Just
Well, the way I see it is there's good things here and there's good things there. I can say that there's places perfect between both of them. I don't say that USA women rights here or the women's are the perfect in the perfect place, and the same for Gazan people as also is not the same and the kind of perfect way. So I think I'm finding myself in between. I have what I need from from our culture there. That's good for me, and I also have it from here. So I'm kind of between.
okay. So you go either way with it.
Yes.
That's interesting. Okay. Do you think that the media exposure in the U.S. is a good thing?
As for now, I don't see it as a very good thing because most of the mainstream media now here in the US is kind of pro-Israeli and it's always with the Israeli side, if it's not like all the time. As they go in the news, you see that Israel is defending itself, the security, and we're attacking or we're terrorists, but they didn't get the other side of the picture, which is the Palestinian people who's suffering, who's the weak one, who's getting the fire, who's getting under the attack all the time, and just giving the picture from the Israel's perspective.
I mean, I know that we've done some work together, and we have seen some interesting information available to us, though, where it does present the Palestinian side of things. I realize that you don't think it's 50-50, and neither do I, where it shows both sides, but where have you seen your side represented as you see it?
Of course, not in the Western media, because most of it also like kind of pro-Israeli, which I can understand because it's a political and money game, economic game basically. So my news that I get it from how I see it, it's just from the local media and not all of it even, because some of the local media is also for the parties and the political parties. So the whole media goes for the political game and the economic game. The way that I see the news, most of the time the reality is come from the social media.
Okay, so like YouTube and things of that nature?
Yes, which is like come from the reality, what's in the ground, let's take it and let's give it to the people.
Okay. Now, considering that the Palestinian issue is known to many people and not just necessarily from the Israeli side, how would you account for that?
Gain.
Okay. People are aware of the Palestinian situation,
Yes.
right? How do you think they got that information?
Well, actually, when it comes to people who's aware from the Palestinian situation, I will tell you there's people who really know about the situation. Either they like go for deep reading or history, or they come to the Middle East or Gaza and see the reality, or the other people who think that they aware or know everything about the Palestinian case, but they actually know nothing because it's not that I'm saying they know nothing, but what they know is from the mainstream media or the media that's here, which is basically from the Israel perspective. So they don't have the full picture, they don't have the two sides of the story, they have just one side of the story.
What do you define as being the mainstream media?
I mean the the news that's on the TV, the newspapers, the magazines that's in here, which is known for everybody, like the big channels on the TV, like CNN or BBC or News Time or like that. This is kind of the news that I sell.
Now you do you, have you been exposed to any news that has been shown to support the Palestinian side?
Rarely, actually.
Okay, so you're not aware of any American magazines or newspapers or anything that
I wish I can remember. I would say like maybe a few times, but so rare, like 90% and 1% like for us.
Okay. I mean, I know that your case is being pled an awful lot lately, right? So it's out there. I mean, how does that make you feel? That at least, I mean, even you may not consider it as being mainstream. There's definitely a lot of supporters of Palestine in this particular situation, right? And I would imagine that their source of information is still viable. Okay, I don't have anything to reference right now, but since you've been here at IEPUI, have you noticed that people are aware of the Palestinian situation?
Well, what I've seen here from being at IPY, most of the people that know about the Palestinian situation and like in deep is the professors or the educated, like not educated because everybody's educated, but people who have this kind of interest in the conflict resolution or the conflict area or the war areas, or it's just their major study. For the rest of the people, they kind of been shocked, or it's kind of for them the first time ever to know about our real life situation that we're living there from our share of stories with them. We are in the media, but if you notice, like the whole media didn't get the whole image or the whole picture. So the people is like so busy, so they get like the news, see the media, but then they keep moving on with their life. But the picture that they have from the mainstream media on the TV is this small or one side of the picture. They don't get the full or the other side of the picture.
Okay. Do you feel that's getting better?
Well, what I'm doing now is one step on the head. I'm not gonna say I'm doing a lot, but what I'm doing, and I'm sure that there's many people like me also doing this in other places. So yes, I'm sure it's gonna get better because it just needs somebody like me and like everybody, like and other people working a step to share and tell the people about us.
Okay.
More and more.
Now, you've told me stories of activists in Gaza. Where do you see these guys coming from usually? Are there a lot of U.S. Activists or European, or how does that?
Well, we have international activists from many and multiple nationalities. We have from Asia, from USA, from Europe, from some Islamic country like Indonesia, Malaysia, and they kind of from all over the world. And yes, there is group of U.S. activists there, and there's even what an American center, which is for learning language, the American language. But still, there we have like kind of a group from activists. They gonna go there.
Okay, so you've been exposed to people that are aware of this from all over the world too, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, if
Yes.
nothing else. And I'm sure they're getting the word out too. No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And not to rub it in, but it's. I mean. I do think that people are somewhat at least becoming aware of what's happening, what's actually happening.
Yes, and I believe that this is gonna, anyway, gonna be sooner or later, because nothing's gonna be stay the same. Everything is changing, and the world will one day or another will know about the truth, and the reality will be uncovered for everybody. And with the social media is now one of the ways that you doing that, and for like having this kind of exchange program between Gaza and outside, also giving the chance to get the world know more about the situation there.
Okay. How do you think people feel about Palestinians?
Well, it's gonna be different from person to person, because there's no way that everybody will be the same. It's something like way behind, because the people always will differ. But there's some people who support Palestinian, and there's people also who support Israeli. So there's both sides, for us and against us.
When you were traveling, what did you experience that way? I mean, that might give us some insight.
Yeah, for us, like as Palestinian, when you go travel outside, you can find most of the hardships when traveling, which is like kind of a message from, first of all, from the Israelis: don't go out, don't travel, just stay there. It's like a kind of message. Or if you want to go out, just get out and never come back. So it like give you the hard time, so you think ever again when you're going to travel us outside. And like when you go for when we come here, from my own personal experience, we kind of waited for a permission for just a 1 day for interview visa in Jerusalem, and we waited for that like for a month and a half to get just this 1 day permission. And after that we traveled from Egypt, not from Gaza or Palestine, because we don't have an airport in Gaza because it's now a big hole, because it's been bombed before in 2005, and we can't go inside the Palestinian territories out Gaza to travel from there. So we went from Egypt airplane, and that wasn't a very easy thing, because we keep waiting and waiting and checking, and they check us again and again and again because they are Palestinian. And it wasn't that pleasant time actually. We just wait 6 hours in a bus just to get into the hole there to have our passport back, and then in the airport another like 2 hours, and we're checking our passport many times before we get into the plane. This is for like Egypt. And then we went to Germany, and also at the same time we get for checking first time and checking a second time, and a personal checking for us, because they like will make sure that we're not having anything. And till we reached the USA, and it was one of the easiest way, because I think we've been already like have the whole hardship before, so we have no more here to have. So like it's just one of the things that the Palestinians have with traveling. This is from Gaza, and I'm sure also the West Bank people have the same kind of troubles and shit also going on with them.
Okay. Do you see hope for the future in regard to relations with Israel?
Well, from my situation now, our situation now in Gaza, I can't see any hope, like at least in the near future. In the norm of these relationships or developing any kind of good relationships, well, I can't say that I'm having any kind of hope for the near future, because from the way that we're living now in the Strip, we're actually being under siege, blockade, isolated, and what we have from the Israeli side, from the government, is gun and fire shots and over our heads. So it's kind of a hand for death and not a hand for peace. So I can't expect any kind of good thing or hope from them for the near future.
Okay.
But I know it's not gonna be the last thing for the whole time, for eternity. It's gonna be some changing. But when and how it's gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be in the near one.
What about the Palestinians? Do you see their attitudes changing at all towards Israel?
Well, I don't know. There have been kind of a changing and up and down, like peaceful times and a truce between Israeli and Palestinian at one time, and then it go for another intifada or another uprising. This is just depending on pull and then push back from the Israeli side, because the Israeli side who has the control and the power and the technology and the military, so they kind of more controlling the situation there, and they trying to do everything they can do to keep it in that way, to keep us like down and starving, and just keep us with no strength, so we can go above with the power, we can build ourselves again.
How do you feel about Israel?
Well, my feeling about Israel, it's first of all, as for people there living in Israel, I believe that there's a good people there, as there's a normal people, because they used to live with us before 1948, and there's a peace activist that I know about, and there's people who believe that it's our land and it's our right to live and to exist. And at the same time, there's so extremist people who hate us and deny our even right to exist and to be alive in that land and want us out, and they believe it's just the Jew land, it's a promised land for them. So this is how I see the people. But if I'm going to talk about Israel as a state or a government or a political entity, the way I see it, it's an occupation entity, an occupation state, which has taken our land and our homes, and there's no way like it, either like getting back.
So do you see it as as Islam versus Judaism, or do you see it as like a socio-political type thing?
Well, I'm gonna say it's kind of related because they tend to say no, it's not a religion war, and they tend to say just a political situation. But still, there's a lot of big rabbi and there's a lot of big religious people there. They kind of have much of control and impact in the Israel government, even if they try to deny it. But they know that what the government is doing is kind of wrong, and they know it's kind of isolated, making it so fast to destroy the state itself, because what's been doing is wrong, and the people or the world will stay still and stop and say no. It will say no like in time, because what's keeping going more and more aggressive and going on with this.
Do you think that it's Jewish versus Islam, Judaism versus Islam, or do you feel that it's Palestine versus Israel?
Well, now, okay. It's there's an effect from Judaism and Islam. There's a little bit, there's an effect of that. There's an impact, and it's not that important effect, but still there is. But the main idea now in the now is it's being Palestine versus Israel. Who's going to be the last or to exist at the last? Because it's either to be this state or that state.
Okay. So, I mean, in Gaza, there's Christians too.
Yes.
Okay, so it would be hard to say that it's just simply a war of religions.
No, because the Christian people that living in Gaza having the same hardship, and because they're just living as Palestinian or people inside of Israel.
Right, and there's Christians in Israel too, obviously.
Yes,
you know?
the same. So it's just like kind of because you're being in Palestinian and are living inside of that land, you're being just Christian.
Right. Okay. Do you feel hostility or judgment from Americans given that U.S. media and government is predominantly pro-Israel?
No, I don't see that now from my own experience here as living or being in Indianapolis for almost 2 months, because all that I see from people here that they are caring and supporting, and they have a knowledge about our situation, even if it's not a whole, but still they know and they care and they support.
Okay. So, I mean, do you feel that the media really is all pro-Israel?
Well, no, not always the media is all pro-Israel. Sometimes it's neutral and sometimes it's positive. So it's just like about getting the right news.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know how much you've watched or seen, but you do, I mean, you do have the impression that a lot of the media is pro-Israel, right?
Yes, because when I used to watch the news back in Gaza, most of the time I just like focus on the government side and the support for the Israelis and the money and the donation and the APAC and so on. So you get the idea of that it's all about being pro-Israeli.
Okay, but you haven't seen, I mean, doing your own research here, have you seen a lot of that?
Well, from interacting with people and seeing the people around Indianapolis here, I didn't get to any kind of this ideas that, because all that I get from the people here is understanding and supporting.
Okay, in the research that you've done online and stuff, I mean, have you seen a lot of pro-Israeli stuff?
No, most of it that I saw in the news this day is just more about being neutral or being positive for Palestinians.
Okay, so once again, what do you see as being the real misinformation here, the real guys?
Well, I think that the main or the big misinformation with the media is that what's shown in the surface is something, but what's going under the table is something else. With the donation, the big donation which goes for Israel from the government, which about $3 billion a year, which is a huge number, a big number for giving just an aid for another country when it's needed for its own country.
Okay, okay. Uh, Sounds good. Do you attend the same high schools? Play on the same soccer teams? And how common is cross-cultural friendships? There are cross-cultural friendships between you and Israeli kids, or Israeli kids and Palestinian kids.
Okay. As for playing in the soccer team or attending the same high schools, there's not like that for us in Gaza, or even any kind of interaction or cultural cross interaction, because basically we're living just under siege and isolated from the world. So just Israel is outside. We don't have any kind of interaction with Israel.
What about the settlements and stuff?
This is in West Bank. This is not in Gaza.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there used to be a settlement inside of the strip before this siege, but even that time, this settlement used to be just for the Israelis, and they used to restrict that areas for the Palestinian, and they were like kind of security around that, and the roads were cut, and nobody entered there from
Okay.
the Palestinian. So there's no kind of culture or intercourse interaction between the both of us, the Israelis and the Palestinians in Gaza. However, for West Bank, I also can't tell you about that because I don't live there and I didn't have any kind of experience there.
Okay, so there's no contact in high schools, no soccer teams, nothing.
No, all we get from Israel is the airstrikes. And that's
Okay.
it.
Did wonderful. Do you have anybody or any friends that are friends with any Israelis?
Well, I don't know, but there's people inside of Gaza that are dealing with the peace activist people inside of Israel. They are Israelis, so there's kind of peace activists, and this is kind of work for the peace group and for human rights group and such like that. But as a friends, I don't really know. But when we went to the West Bank for the interview for the visa like 2 months ago. We ran to one of Syria relatives. She's my friend here, and he knew some friends are have the Israeli citizenship, but as well European citizenship. So they can have kind of a friendship with the peace activists and with the good Israelis there.
Okay, so generally it's related to some kind of organization above and beyond. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, before saying good or bad about the media exposure in the US, first of all, let's take a look about the media exposure here, which will the surface shows that the media is positive for the Palestinians or neutral, not having a side for Israelis or Palestinian. And from my own experience here, for being in Indianapolis for almost 2 months now, all I get from people is the support and the being care and being and share us our feeling and our stories for our situation there. However, some studies says that about $3 billion are giving away for Israel every year, which works for $8.5 million a day. And here is the big misunderstanding or misinformation with the media thing.